Hey Chicago, it's Dawn Millhouse from the Book of Dawn. There's a lot of fake news about the COVID vaccine, just false information. So our station has joined the Protect Chicago team to help share the truth about the vaccine and dispel the rumors. I hear all the time, I've already had COVID. I don't need the vaccine. You're wrong. Get the facts by visiting the What's in It for the Black People Media page on Facebook and www.chicago.gov/COVIDVax. That's COVIDVAX. We're in this together, Chicago.
Club I'll never forget. Do you remember the words that I said? One night in my bed you'll never regret. And you, with your pretty brown eyes, I knew, baby, you would change my life. And you opened up my eyes to see I'm excited for our future, but I love our history. Let's throw back. I never will forget. Let's throw back to when we fell in love. Let's throw back, babe. I wanna throw back, babe. Is it just me? Don't you miss those nights sexing on the beach, playing Isley Brothers in between the sheets? And now we're taking flights from London to Belize. We're popping bottles, endless shopping sprees. Still sexy as can be. I knew you're still the only one for me. Yeah. I'm feeling lucky as can be. I'm excited for our future, but I love our history. Yeah. To the day that we first met, let's throw back. I really wanna know. Let's throw back, let's go back. Let's throw back, let's go. I wanna throw back. Oh, come on now. We were making love to the first time we let's reminisce of the way we were making love. Making love. Come on now. Let's throw back. Oh, all I wanna do is throw it back. That's all I wanna do. Come on now. Let's throw back, babe. I wanna throw back, babe. Let's throw back, everybody. Let's throw back. If you love somebody, let's throw back. Talk about the love. Let's throw back. Let's throw. Used to be, oh yeah.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up? This is Tasha here with the show on What's in It for the Black People Media. And we are talking about divorce. I do, I did, I don't is the name of the show. We will be covering quite a few items. So I'll be on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. I want you to make sure you like What's in It for the Black People Network. Soon you'll be able to follow me also throughout the week. But what is the show? What is this about? It's really the inaugural show of I Do, I Did, I Don't. And it's a show that helps you navigate divorce, to think about how do you navigate divorce, how do you think about divorce, if you're thinking about it, if you are someone who's getting married, who wants to avoid problems if a divorce does happen. This show is all about supporting you so that you come out better on the other side of divorce. So it is not a show that's going to kind of bash men, women, either way. It's really about how do you navigate this and support and get the support that you need so that you're healthy throughout the process. And how do you understand the process? I know for myself, this process was quite difficult. It was quite a surprise, and it was extremely, extremely emotionally taxing. So I imagine that's the case for most people who are going through a divorce, and you kind of get knocked off your feet a little bit as you're going through the process, and I'm sure that several of you have felt that way. So the show will cover topics such as managing your mental and emotional health through divorce. How do you support your children through a divorce? And how do you think about the legal process? And let me just say, that in and of itself is a doozy. So demystifying that process, is something that I think will be really, really helpful for folks, because I know for me it was extremely confusing and difficult. I had never been involved in a legal process at all. So to actually go through the formalities of the legal process were challenging, and it was a lot to navigate. That's all I can say. So I also want to talk to you all about working with a mediator versus an attorney, and how do you choose the right attorney to start with? What if you have to change attorneys in the process? What do you do to manage the divorce legal costs? And when you think about the cost of divorce, which is it's astronomical, how do you recover financially after that? And then moving forward after divorce. So periodically, my goal is to have special guests on that will help us with this knowledge so we understand certain pieces about the divorce process, and that they can cover some special topics, and we're able to take caller questions or, your questions and your comments coming up. So I appreciate those of you that have tuned in. We are going to be on a journey, and I'm hoping, my hope is that this is really helpful to you. The reason I decided to do this show is because it was always a very, for me, let me step back and say it this way. I've always felt like experiences in my life were not just for me, that those experiences were for me, but also for me to be able to help others. And I have a heart to share and to teach and to make sure that others gain knowledge, because that's pretty important to me. And so the reason for doing the show is to really impart the knowledge that I've learned, and I realized in the process that people just don't have a lot of information or tools. And because of that, the process goes awry, the lawyers go awry, you find yourself in situations that you didn't expect to be in throughout the divorce process. So everything that I've learned, I feel like I want to bring that in order to for you to have an easier time of it if you find yourself in that situation. Hopefully you won't, but we know that more than half of folks in the U.S., marriages end in divorce. And so it's a very real, very present thing that happens. And many times I think we want to deny that it happens. And so we think about if you're like me, you think about, well, what does the church say about divorce? And what does, What does my family say about divorce, and how should I plan for this? And my orientation is, you know, let's just plan for this to work as opposed to planning in case it doesn't work. All right. So I'm sure that some of you have thought about that. And, church is a whole different story. We can talk about that another time. I am very, very committed to my relationship with God. I will say that. But the church is a whole different story at times. So, in short, for me, week one, what I just want to cover are a couple things about divorce, because in general, divorce is a bitch. Just plain and simple. It just is. Life as you knew it is falling apart, and you realize this is happening. And whether you planned for it or not, whether you expected it was coming or not, how does it make you feel? It generally makes you feel like, man, this is, life as I knew it is changing. And the prospect of that change is difficult. So, there are so many reasons that a divorce can happen. People could just be thinking through, just maybe we're just not vibing. We're not working, and we realize this isn't working very well. Maybe it's money issues. We know that's one of the major reasons that people have breakups in their marriage. It can also be infidelity. That's a very real and very present situation in many families. And so whatever that reason is, it's happening. So everything that you thought about, that white picket fence, that, the 2.5 kids and that American dream and the house and the cars, and now that's all threatened. And so not only is life as you knew it falling apart, but you're very afraid of what's to come now as a result of that life falling apart. So I'm wondering, for those that have tuned in, if you have been in that situation, what did you do? What were your thoughts? What were your feelings and emotions? How did you work through that or manage through that? For me, therapy was a must. It was an absolute must, because there's so much emotional turmoil going on. Now, I will tell you, and I'm not ashamed, I'm quite the advocate, that I think therapy is something that everybody needs to do on a regular basis. Especially as Black people, we have a number of issues just constantly pressing in on us. And so for me, it's preventive maintenance. So I was fortunate enough that I already had a relationship with a therapist that I could go to when this was happening. But I could imagine if you don't have a relationship and you're trying to find someone in the midst of all of the confusion and the process and the lawyers and the calls, because it winds up being a part-time job trying to get divorced. So, it's something that I want you guys to seriously consider and think about. If you haven't, that therapy absolutely is a must. And you need it, because you're thinking about, did I cause this? What did I do? Am I not pretty enough? Am I not, do I not make enough money? Am I not frisky enough in the bedroom? What is, what's going on? Or you're having the opposite experience, like, man, I effed up. This is me. I messed up. Whatever I did, it's now this is a situation I face. So once you're there, you're dealing with a lot of different emotions. You're dealing with rejection, of feeling like, man, what was it about me that wasn't good enough? What is it about this, or, what did I do, right? So either if you're the person that's the offender, let's say it that way, then you're feeling like, man, this wasn't enough, and probably questioning yourself about why wasn't it. But if you are the offended, then you're feeling rejection the same in a different way, right? So it's so important that you have someone that can help balance those thoughts, because they're going to go in a crazy direction. They're going to keep, it's like a runaway train. The thoughts are going to keep going. You need somebody that's going to help pull you back a little bit. So those feelings of rejection, and then, if you are the offender or the offended, then you're dealing with all these feelings of revenge, right? And so that's another thing that you've got to work through, because it will grab you. It will you'll have to work through that, just the stress of the whole situation and the finality of the fact that this marriage is ending, and it's something that you're going to have to live with and move forward with in life. So I know that everybody doesn't have access to therapy, and therapy definitely does cost money. It is, if you don't have health insurance, it can be a challenge to get therapy. But I'll say a couple things about that. Number one, for me, it was important to have an emotional support network around. So if I didn't have access to the therapist right away, even with access to the therapist, I needed to make sure I had emotional support around. And that was in the form of family. It was friends. We all know somebody that knows somebody that can probably help us figure out how to get access to what we need and how to do that at a low cost. And so you have to work it. You're going to have to work it to find somebody. And maybe it's just you have your conversations with friends for a while until you find someone. And now, if you're going to have conversations with friends, though, make sure they're like sound, wise counsel. Not people that's going to have you out here scratching up somebody's car or, all kind of craziness like that, right? Because we have those. I mean, we got those friends. It's like, hey, when you're ready, call me. When you ready, I'm ready. I'm with you. And we need that sometimes, because we need to know that people are on our side, right? You need people that are on your team when this is happening. But you also need the other side of the balance, the counterbalance, where somebody's going to say, okay, I know you're mad. I know you're thinking this right now. I want you to just take a minute, take a breath. I want you to, let's think about this. What's really long-term the best decision? And so, you're going to have both things. You just need to make sure you've got that balance, especially if you don't have a professional therapist. But I think there are ways to get through the situation. I know someone who decided that what they were going to do was comedy, because they didn't have access to a therapist, didn't have health insurance at the time. And so this person just started working through comedy because they needed to laugh. And I feel that, because, sometimes you just need to stop and just laugh and gain perspective in life, even though you're immersed in the crazy that's going on at the time. So, we find a way. We find a way for the things that we prioritize that we think are important. This is one of those things for me that is extremely important, and I think that a lot of us are learning to value therapy more, and will find opportunities to get the therapy that we need, because life keeps moving at its normal pace. Your job doesn't care that you're getting divorced, and whether you tell them or not, is your decision. We can talk about the pros and cons of disclosing that, but the job still goes on. You still have all the same responsibilities. They don't care. The kids still need care, despite whatever they're experiencing as a result of the divorce. You're still a parent, and you're still parent number one when those children are with you, and they still need your undivided attention. The rent still needs to be paid. The mortgage still needs to be paid. Everything else is still happening, and you have to manage this in the midst of still managing the rest of your life, which can be a lot. It can really be a lot. And then if you have children, then you've got to deal with your emotional issues and your emotional pain at the same time that you're helping them to manage through theirs. That was a really, really hard part for me, because I felt like now, all right, I'm an adult. I got to put on the big girl panties. I got to decide to put my needs, my anger, my whatever it was, upset, move that around, to the side, and make sure that the children were okay, and say the things that were best for them to hear, even though I may not have totally felt that or believed that. I had to sit with them and pray for my soon-to-be ex, so that they understood that this was not about them, and that there was still a little bit of, concern or care, but that continue to deliver a very consistent message that we love them. We may not be together, but, we would still absolutely love them, and that life would change a little bit, but hopefully not too much for them. Excuse me. So again, I can't. I think I've beat that dog on therapy and the need for that. But I want to also talk about what I learned through the process, right? Um, I think when things come at us in life, we don't really know how strong we are because it hasn't been tested, right? And so I think we find that we're stronger. We're much stronger than we give ourselves credit for. And we can manage through that process. And you learn what kind of heart you really have, right? You're going to have all sorts of thoughts about what you want to do and what you should have did and what you should have said. And you're going to make your reaction, your response, will really reflect where your heart is. What do you really, as a person, what do you really think and believe, and what do you act upon despite what you might be thinking about? And so, I talked about needing that emotional support network around me. And let me just tell you, I've never been, as Black people, I'm probably in the middle. We have Black people that decide we don't tell our business, right? We keep everything inside. What happens in this household stays in this household. We don't put our business in the street. All of this, right? And I told you, I'm a person that's willing to share because I think there's some benefit in telling our story. I think there's power when we take our story and embrace that because it helps other people. And so I'm kind of in the middle on that. There was some stuff, I would say, some stuff I wouldn't say. But when this happened and I was hit like a ton of bricks, I immediately reached out to people around me. And what I realized is that there was a support network around me in every area of my life. So I had a support network built in my kids' school. I had a support network at work. I had a support network with my family. And I had a support network in a couple other circles. And so it was super valuable. I knew this would be the undoing of me if I tried to manage this alone and in silence. I am suffering. And so it was important for me to reach out to those people and say, I need emotional support right now. I remember saying that to my brother. My brother called me immediately. He was like, you don't say that. What's going on? He stepped out of work and called me right away. And so, reaching out was one of the best things that I could have done because people showed up. They showed up for me in ways that I would not have imagined were possible, in ways that I can't even recount. Not just emotionally, but people showed up financially. People showed up to help with children. They showed up. And until people know what you're going through and that you need that support, if we don't disclose it, how could they ever help us? They really can't, right? Because they don't know what's really happening in life. And so reaching out to that emotional support network around me was one of the things I learned, that I had way more support than I probably ever thought I did. And I would say that you probably do too in your life. You just don't realize it. So now I'm gonna take a minute and say something about church. Church, huge support network for me, and I leaned heavily on my relationship with God. So for those of you that have gone through this, what did you do? What did you do when it came to church? For me, I realized that church therapy isn't necessarily the therapy that I needed, right? Church counseling and professional therapy are not the same thing. So folks at church can have great intention, but they don't have the training necessarily. Now, if you're lucky enough to be in a church that does have professionally trained counselors, awesome, absolutely take advantage of them. But I want you to realize, because as Black people, we tend to say stuff like, well, we just need to pray about it. We just need to talk to God. We don't need a therapist. We just need to pray. We need to go to church. Prayer, absolutely essential. I'm with you on that one. Absolutely, that's essential for us, right? But it's not just prayer. I think it's both and. It's prayer and it's therapy, because you need both. You need both. God, if you're a believing Christian, God has put these people here, giving them the training, giving them the education, and giving you access to them for a reason. You know, the profession exists for a reason. And many times people discount that because they're Christian. And, you know, I've heard preachers from the pulpit say stuff like, you know, you just need to pray. You don't need, you know, you don't necessarily need a therapist. Or I've heard you don't need medication. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do, because there are things that are happening biologically that you need to take care of, and your thought patterns are never going to adjust and get to the right place if you're not handling what needs to be handled. So, you know, I think the church will send you off sometimes on some straight nonsense. And as much as I love God and appreciate God and really depend on him, you know, I'm serious about my relationship with him, and I've seen him so work and provide for me. But I also realized that the church sometimes will send you off. I said one day I should write a book called Stuff Church People Said to Me When I Was Getting Divorced. You can imagine. You can imagine what that was, what some of those comments were. But recognize that the church counselor is going to help you sometimes with the faith aspect of things, and your therapist is going to help you with some of the other things that you need to do. So I agree. You have your time with God. You get it out. You pray. You say what you need to say. You know, there were times that I was mad at God, and honestly, one of the only times I think I cried about this divorce in my case once, and it wasn't because I was sad about the divorce. It was because I was mad at God. And I was mad at God because I thought this was the right thing to do. I thought he had said, this is the person. And okay, maybe that was at the time. And now we're here where this separation is happening. But I was so upset that God was telling me not to do the things that I really wanted to do. And he was real clear with me. So not doing the things, that's what I was mad about. Like, God, this isn't fair. This is not fair. How is it that I don't get to respond? Like, I got to be the bigger person here. I got to, you know, but God always has a plan. And he always takes care of us. And you know that scripture that says that he works everything for our good. And I think this is the good that's come out of that situation. This is part of the good that's come out of the divorce for me. So we can't suffer in silence. You know, we have to work out our own salvation in terms of what does the church say, what resources does the church have available, and what else in the broader community do I have available to me. I know there are some divorce support groups for folks that talked about not necessarily having access to therapy. I didn't see a lot of those in Chicago proper, but they are around, and many of them are affiliated with churches. But you can find the support that you need. It's just that you got to do some work to get there. So the other thing that I would say about this is that, you know, one of the things I learned is people, when I think about the church and some of the stuff that people said, people are willing to confine you to a life of suffering so that their dream of marriage can remain intact. Okay, I'm going to say that again. So people are willing to confine you to a life of suffering so their dream and their picture of marriage can remain intact. So, you know, there were lots and lots of people who wanted to convince me why it was the right thing to do to stay. And what I realized later on is even when they were hearing, when I was recounting some of the things that were happening and that had led to the decision to divorce, they were still sort of like, well, that's all? Or they were still going, you know, well, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe you could just do this. Or, you know, the devil is busy and he just wants to separate families. Yeah, I agree with that. But it's our job individually to manage ourselves so that doesn't happen. I told somebody, I'm not what did I say? I can't remember exactly, but, you know, this is not, I agree with you, but I'm not holding up the bloodstained banner for Christ on this one. So we're going to take a break, and I'll be back, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the legal process and some of the things that you need to know there.
WIIFTVPN.
The Chicago Legal Network is the collaboration of attorneys that concentrate in many areas of the law most needed in Chicago neighborhoods. The CLN lawyers focus on personal injury, criminal defense, and other issues. The CLN lawyers all average over 20 years of legal experience and are dedicated to helping the Chicago community. The Chicago Legal Network is committed to developing black lawyers through mentorship and co-representation. So if you were injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or injured on the job, or you need assistance with criminal defense, including driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information or call 773-912-3545. 773-912-3545.
Hey Chicago, you know we've all been impacted by COVID, especially in our communities. Help protect Chicago. We need everyone to stay safe and get the facts about the COVID-19 vaccine. Visit the What's in It for the Black People Media Facebook page and www.chicago.gov/COVIDVax for the facts.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday.
I press decline and you keep calling it. Give you some love and you want all of it. I'm out here working, nigga, get a grip. I'm just trying to touch your mill if you just wanna coexist. I say you clingy and you contradict. Give you my heart, you think it's counterfeit. Give you my word and you won't trust in it. What's the point of loving me if you don't know what trust is? I need the is you give now. Please don't back down on me. I know you've got the attention I need. Put your pride aside for me. Oh, 'cause I need that ease. Put your pride aside for me. That ease. While I'm not trying to get that ease. You know that I need that ease. Yeah. Put your pride aside for me, baby. You're insecure, it's driving me crazy. I'm trying to get it and you keep on saying it all my love, it's never enough. I put up with you for too long, now I'm over it. You want affection, I need money, I'ma call it quits. That ease, that ease, that ease. Put your pride aside for me. That ease. While I'm trying to get it, that ease. Need it, that ease. Put your pride aside for me. Put it aside, put it aside, put it aside, put it aside, put it aside. Put your pride aside, put it aside. On me. Put your pride aside for me.
All right. We are back. This is Tasha here with I Do, I Did, I Don't on the What's in It for the Black People Media. I'm going to call it a network to start with because it will be. So you all remember to go and follow the page, like the page. What's in It for the Black People is doing some really good things. I appreciate the honesty that's coming out of a lot of the programs, and that are kind of uncensored and really, really representing us in a way that is helpful moving forward. So go like the page. Again, this show will be on Sundays, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. each Sunday. I do, I did, I don't. And I am your host, Tasha. So, I was taking a look during the break at some of the comments, and I could see that a lot of the things about church resonated, and a lot of the things about what people said about relationships resonated. And really deciding what is right for you, and people gaining some level of comfort in, this is the best decision for me. This is the best decision for me and for my family. Despite what the church says, despite what religion says, despite what people might say about what about the kids, I'm one of those that decided my kids don't deserve to have a pissed off bitch of a mom every day, because that's what it was going to be. And they did not deserve that. Neither did I deserve to live in that existence. And so, if we stayed together, the kids were probably going to see some things they shouldn't have seen. And I didn't need them to see that. So, I knew pretty quickly what the best decision for me and for my children was. Now, that was the unpopular decision, clearly. And I got a lot of comments and words and, all this stuff feeding me, trying to change my mind. And somebody telling me, I will never forget someone said, I'm going to just pray about this. And I was like, don't. Like, there's no need. Well, you can't tell me how to pray. No, I cannot. I can't. However, I'm very clear about what God said to me also. And those people come and tell you, well, God said this and God told me. Well, he needs to send me the memo too, because I got a whole different message. So yes, for those, I think there are some listening who are actually experiencing this, and you're walking through it and it feels like it just feels so consuming and it feels so heavy. But I will tell you, you will get through it. You absolutely will get through it. It is a process, and you have to unapologetically prioritize what your needs are through the process. Because if you don't, then your kids are not going to be well served if you have children, and you are not going to be well served. I feel like divorce in some way is you're saying, I am important to me, and I need to move forward in this way so that I'm my best self. And not doing that, or continuing to deny yourself that, will just give you this existence that is, something. I mean, it's just not worth. It's miserable. It's miserable. And I was not confining myself to a life of misery. Many of us feel like we've done that enough already in the marriage. So why continue to do that? And so if you've gotten to that point, I'm not saying that everybody, that's the solution for everyone. Please understand me. I'm not. I do believe that marriage can work. I do believe that two people who are committed and willing to work on it can make it work and can get over some big things that could happen in life, because life's going to hand it to you. But I also believe that it needs to be those two people doing it. One person can't do it alone. One person can't will for it to happen. And, there are sometimes some things that we just shouldn't or can't tolerate. And, the other party needs to understand and know that there are some limits, there are some boundaries, and that at some point in some place, you value yourself. Because when you don't, we teach people how to treat us, right? We teach them how to treat us. And when they understand that they can go this far and only this far, then they will govern themselves accordingly. So, that might be another topic, another week, because I saw a lot of good feedback on that. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about, I saw a lot on children too. So we're definitely going to have a show where we talk through, how do we care for the children? What are they thinking? What's happening in their minds in some ways? And how do we best support them, especially while we're dealing with the whole process? Because like I said, the process keeps going and stuff keeps coming at you. All right, so let's talk about this legal process. Man, First of all, I want to tell you this. Lawyers are not your friends. They are not your friends in the divorce process. I don't know if you've seen Chris Rock's most recent stand-up show, but he said he walked in the court during his divorce. He walked in the courtroom one day and he realized as he looked around and he saw the judge and he saw the three lawyers on his wife's side. He saw the three lawyers he's got because they were lawyered up because he has money. He's looking at the court reporter. He says, and he realized that everybody there was there for the sole purpose of taking his money. Yes, yes. The lawyers are there for the sole purpose of making money, and they're going to stretch out this money-making opportunity as long as they can. And so that's why a lot of divorces become quite contentious, because the more contentious, the more filings, which means the more filings, the more responses, the more court appearances. All of those things cost money. And it's so unfortunate as Black people who are already struggling hard to try to build wealth to turn around and give it away because we can't act like we have some sense during this process. We can't at least get together and think about the greater benefit for the two of us and for our children, if we want to leave any kind of legacy to them, is to sit down like two adults and figure out, what are we going to do here? That can be extremely hard to do in a contentious divorce situation. However, it's to our benefit also to do it. Now, I understand also, as is the case with me, there are times that you just can't do that. You just cannot. And it's unfortunate because I feel like you, in so doing, you are taking money away from your children and from your ultimate legacy that you're trying to create for those children. But, you know, if people just won't act right, they won't act right, and you have to manage it in the best way that you can. But there are some other options as well, like you could use a mediator if you wanted to do that. But, man, it is, the lawyers are not your friends. They are not your therapists. They are there to do a job, and you have to manage them. And we don't realize that. I didn't realize that till way late in the process, where you are hiring them, and you get to call the shots and decide how this process moves forward. It does not have to be contentious, but when it is, and you have to engage the lawyers at that point, I think there are some, in my case, I thought, I don't understand this process at all, so I'm trusting what the lawyer says. This is what we need to do. Wrong move. Because the lawyer is doing, this is their job. You know, they're getting paid $300, $500 an hour. And so every time they show up in court, you know, that's every time you make a phone call, cha-ching, every time you send an email, you know, depending on how they bill you, it might be every 10 minutes. So if it takes them 1 minute to read an email, you're getting charged for 10. So it's important that you know how the process works, kind of what the game is, because there really is a game when it comes to attorneys and the divorce process. It is a lucrative, money-making, it's a money-making machine for them. And so, again, they try, you know, there's a lot of infusion of additional issues that they can create in your process as you're trying to get divorced. And if they're making it more and more contentious for you, then at some point you step back and you sort of realize what's happening. Some people do, some people don't. But they're not your friends. They're not your therapists. You have to manage them, and it's like a job. It is. You got to look at those bills when they come and make sure that they're charging you for the right things, because sometimes they're not. You need to figure out, when do I need to send this email? When do I not need to send the email? You need to understand, when do I need to have conversation directly with my soon-to-be ex versus through the attorney, because you're paying for every one of those things. And there, you can tell the attorney, look, this is how much money I have, and that's it. Like, we need to get this done. This is my timeline. And you have to make sure the process is moving forward. So that was a huge, huge learning for me, that I needed to limit that interaction with the lawyer, that I needed to make sure that when I did speak to them, it was necessary and that they were important things, because I spent a lot of money before I learned that lesson. And what's funny is it was actually my dentist who said the lawyers need to be managed. And every person I talked to that's gone through divorce and had something, a contentious process with attorneys involved, all of them have this same story about how difficult it was, how much money it cost, and how many attorneys did not do a good job on their behalf. Because we're going into this expecting one thing. We're expecting that they're going to be our advocates, that they're going to be helpful to us in this process. No. They are there to make money. And one of the first things that you do is you fill out a financial affidavit that tells them, here are all the assets I have, here's what he has. So right away, they know how much money you have and how much you don't have, and how much they can milk the process or how little they can milk the process. And so you have got to really think about how you manage that, because I've talked to several attorneys who will say, they know how this ends. They know how it goes in the end because they have that financial affidavit, one of the first things that you give them. So me not knowing that was to my detriment. I want to make sure that you know that that's the orientation you have to go with going in, that that's their orientation. This is a business for them. This is their job. This is about making money, and you can't blame them for that, right? But it does feel a little predatory, I will say. You just have to know that that's how it works. That's the game, and that you don't want to get caught up in that game. You want to make sure that you are preserving as much of your financial future as possible by managing your attorney. And when I told you earlier, it's like a part-time job, it is a part-time job getting divorced, because you're managing attorneys, you're filing paperwork, you're dealing with having the conversations with the ex. It is a part-time job. But if you're signing up for it, you just have to know that's what it is going in, and it's important for you to do it. So I want you to just remember that. The lawyers are there to make money. They are there to maximize the amount of money that they make in the process, and your job is to minimize the amount of money that you spend in the process. And having some guardrails up front and communicating those to the lawyers is fair. It's absolutely fair, and they will understand that they have a client that is more aware of what's happening and will govern themselves accordingly. But yeah, it part-time, I will say part-time job, full-time job, because it felt like a full-time job for me. So, for those of you that had experiences with lawyers in the process, I wonder how many of you had good experiences versus bad experiences. So I went through 3 attorneys for my divorce. The first one, absolute scrub. This dude basically did nothing, was being paid, and decided later on that he wanted to sell his practice and move to Costa Rica, which he did. So he withdrew from my case, not telling me that. I learned this information later. All right, so he was trying to he sold his business, but this was all about gaining clients to make his business look good, right? And so in the meantime, I'm getting screwed over because he's not doing his job. So then I moved to the next one. They seemed like they were good from the start, but totally milking the process. If I wanted to get on the phone and cry for 30 minutes and talk to them, they would sit there and listen for 30 minutes because the bill is running up and they're getting paid. If we needed to go to court because I got mad about something and needed to file something and it wasn't necessary, great, we'll do that because, again, it's running the tab up. So you've just got to know that their job is to maximize how much they are making and what your job is to minimize how much you're spending. So Cassandra said she had a good experience. She had a lawyer that gave her some good advice, told them what to expect. That's great. I think that is honorable when the attorneys will do that and really actually work as your advocate as opposed to working differently. They're not public defenders, so they're not there to provide you something that's free of charge. This is a huge money making part of a law firm, which is why there are so many divorce attorneys out there. So be unapologetic with them too, prioritizing what you need. Look, if this is your timeline and what you're thinking, let's do this. Because here's the reality. A divorce doesn't have to take a long time. If the two of you agreed today that you needed to get divorced and you decided tomorrow we're going to walk in and set our court date with a judge and do this on our own, go to the county clerk's office, file your paperwork, get your court date, go to the judge and say, look, we just decided this, we're both on board. We don't want to be married anymore. We're good. You would be divorced that day. So it's not a process that has to take a long time. The court process does take a long time to get on a judge's calendar to actually have a hearing, which means they're only going to hear what you have to say sometimes. And then to have, to have a pretrial conference. There are all these things that happen that can progress the process, but not necessarily. And I would love at some point to have someone on the show that's going to really walk us through how does this work, because the time frame of getting your first appearance and then a hearing and then this point where the judge makes a decision can be a really long time frame sometimes. But it doesn't have to be. Like I said, if you two agree today and you walk in there and you explain to the judge, here's how we're doing this, great. Their job is to make sure, that legally, all right, you got your stuff together. You guys both agree this is not something, you think this is fair? Great, I'm good then. Unless the judge sees something glaring that's not fair. So all of the drama really, really can be avoided. It does not have to be super dramatic, but just know that the lawyers can make it even more contentious because they'll come, you'll come in and start and they'll say something like, we're going to get you everything that you deserve. This isn't right. And you should have this much custody and you should have this much spousal support or you should have this much child support, all these things. Okay, every one of those, these are more filings. These are more things that you need to take care of and that they're going to have to do on your behalf and are going to cost money and, are going to make sure that they are making and maximizing their money. So, again, the more that you can talk about the process with your spouse, if you've got someone who is willing to have the conversation, then you want to do that. So, again, for anybody that's just joining in, this is Tasha here, and on with the show I Do, I Did, I Don't. And we're talking about how do you thrive through divorce? Are you navigating a divorce or having a difficult time? Whether you're lost in the shark-infested waters of lawyers or confused by the divorce legal process or negotiating a parenting agreement, or you're concerned about being decimated financially, divorce itself is a highly emotional process that can take a toll on you. And so I want you to join me as we demystify this process. Join me to talk about what it is, how you navigate it. Join me for support in knowing that you are not alone in walking through the process, and for insight in managing through the divorce process. It is possible to do, and you will get through it. You can come out better on the other side of it, and but it does require some knowledge. So I'm here sharing the knowledge that I've gained, and my hope is that it is helpful, and that at some point there will be an opportunity to provide some divorce support circles for folks because, like I said, it's a lot. It is a lot. And I think one of the things that we're very much lacking is the support. Once through the process to just manage it, the knowledge that happens. But even when you're on the other side of it and you're divorced now and you're dealing with the constant back and forth in the court dates, or you're dealing with the child support filing or not getting the child support that you should, or the things that a parent is saying, one parent saying to a child, and the fact that you can't seem to get on the same page for parenting, and the things don't transfer the same from household to household. Those are all realities of what life post-divorce will look like. But we need support through the process, and it's not just us women that need the support. I think men need a great deal of support as well. They are going through a lot of the same emotions. They don't necessarily display it in the same way, but they are hurting through the process as well. And they are disillusioned and, sometimes lambasted and trying to figure out, how do I navigate this? What do I do here? And how does life look differently for me? And am I okay with that? And many times, some people are, some people aren't. But when I say that I do, I did, I don't, is about providing that support. It is about providing that support in the different ways that people need it. And I think males need their own specific kind of support, and females need a different kind of support. I think that parents definitely need support, and they need that support to happen for them in a unique way as well. And then I think about older adults who are divorcing also, because I've got some friends who are over 50, over 60, going through divorce processes. And for me, being at my age, it's one thing, but when you're a little bit older, it's a different challenge too. So I think we're gonna. All right, we are. I really appreciate you having joined me today. Thank you so much. This is the first show. I think it went okay. I really appreciate the engagement. Again, I do, I did, I don't with Tasha on Sundays from 8 to 9. You all take care, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.
Drifting off your love.